we go.
Hello.
Perfect. So, how are you today?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing good as well. I mean, what better way to have an epic evening with an epic guest?
Oh, thank you so much. That's so
Perfect.
kind.
So, welcome to the show. It is so cool and I'm to have you here. Before we start, I have to give you a quick intro. So if you have seen some of my episodes before, you know exactly what I'm about to do. If not, that's fine. Let me show you. So, wait. There we go. There you go.
Applause. Yes.
There you go.
That's great.
So, starting right now with everything, tell me how your acting career started.
Oh boy. Yes. So my acting career started, I fell in love with it when I was like 10 and I was in elementary, and I knew that there was going to be a movie shooting in Cloverdale, and I was begging my mom to let me go be a part of the kind of behind the scenes, and they found out about what it was like to be an extra.
Yeah.
And there was a Christmas movie actually called Deck the Halls that Danny DeVito was starring in, and I think it was around that time, and I got to be on the set, and from that moment forward, like just even as an extra, being there was incredible, and watching actors do what they do, and like the scene happened like all day long, and I never got sick of the energy. And so I think I caught the bug around then, and I always liked performing. I grew up in dance and that kind of thing, but I didn't like pursue it as a profession, though I did training until university. So when I was in university, I decided to become an actor professionally, got my BFA in theater, and then kind of went off from there.
There you go. And what were some of the challenges that you had when you were recently started?
Boy, I mean, I feel like the challenges never end, but it's fine. It's the artist's life. I feel like for me, the biggest challenge has just honestly been the amount of no's that you receive. I mean, I'm pretty tenacious in that I continue to try to find ways to be creative, but I think it was like, I wasn't quite aware of how difficult it was going to be really to break in. I use air quotes for that, to the industry. There's just like rejection happens all the time. Like you don't get an audition, that's fine. But I wasn't aware of like how hard it would be just to even get to the audition point. Yeah. And so a lot has changed over the years too. Different agents, different ways. We used to audition in person. Now a lot of auditions are on Zoom.
Totally.
So I think that the challenge is honestly just staying in it and keeping yourself creatively fulfilled by doing things that you love, even when you're not getting paid for it. Yeah. So
in 2018, you were in Cloaks and Daggers, and tell me, like, was that like one of your first projects, and like, what are some of the things that you learned and also enjoyed from those first moments?
Yes. So Cloaks and Daggers was written by my friend Christina. She asked me to be a part of it kind of last minute, but I really wanted to do more film. At that point, I had done a lot of theater shows, and I wanted to break into more of the film side of things. So I came on set just to kind of like help out. I ended up she threw me in as like a kitchen staff, which was awesome. And I got to work with my friend Shona, so it was kind of awesome because we had fun all day and just like played in the background. But what I learned from that shoot, honestly, was a lot more, surprisingly, about producing, because I got to watch my friends Natalie Farrow and Christina Hampton do put this project together out of nothing, and all of the work that took to do things kind of behind the scenes and to rent the place, and what it was like to do everything down to catering and makeup and just to set the whole thing up, and she wrote it from nothing. So I think that really kind of introduced me into the world of making independent short films and sort of that how you can make something yourself. I wasn't doing that before that point, so that's the biggest thing I kind of learned.
That's amazing. And then in 2019 you were in Bistro 86. Tell me about that show, but also about your character.
Yes. So Bistro 86 was like kind of the next step of independent making of art. So basically, some of my friends that I had actually worked with in a restaurant, that is where Bistro 86 is shot. It's shot in Fort Langley here in Beatnik's Bistro, and that's where I had worked previously. So I knew them, and I knew that they were artistic, and we'd always kind of talked about sort of the acting world. But we just don't get in Vancouver a ton of comedy. Like, we just don't get a ton of comedic new content. So I guess my friends were like pretty into The Office, Parks and Recreation, those types of mockumentary style sitcoms, and they just decided to make one about a restaurant and do like a mini series on it for YouTube. So I played Trish Baker, who is like the hyper fundamentalist Christian type naive comedic fun person to play. But I loved it. I loved doing it just because it was cool to work with friends, and it was cool to work on something comedic, but also because I felt like my character actually had quite a journey from the beginning. Like, I was sort of naive, and to the end I had actually kind of grown up a little bit as the character and kind of fell in love, and was exploring what that was going to be like for me. So had they gone on to future seasons, it would have been really fun, but it is very difficult to find funding. So I just really appreciated it for what it was at that time for me. Yeah. Totally.
And I mean, of course, that depending on the role, you will let's say prepare different for every character. But tell me, like, what is like the number one thing you always do, or how you usually prepare for a character?
Yeah, so if it's a sitcom or if it's something comedic, I usually try to find one of the archetypes, because most sitcoms consist of actually like 8 types of characters, and there's definite variances, but they're all kind of rooted in the same work. So for example, I feel that Trish Baker in Bistro 86 was akin to like the Dwight Schrute of The Office.
Okay.
Sort of like this sidekick, wants to be in power, doesn't really know how to handle it, what's going on. There's sort of an element of being in their own sort of universe. And even though it's illogical, it's logical to them. So I try to find like an archetype type thing. And I've played other roles too that aren't that particular type, but I try to find some kind of where it fits comedically. But in general, just like finding a character, I just read the script and try to find what is standing out to me from the piece, like what my function kind of is in telling the story as a whole. And then I will just spend hours in my bedroom just researching in what I call studio, which is really just my basement. But I will just spend time kind of finding images or like looking at the script or whatever that looks like to get me in the character, and then just memorize the words to the point where they feel like my own.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like, what aspect would you think is important for character creation?
I mean, yeah, I do realize a lot of people have different ways of finding their character. I guess for me, I think that the way that I find it is just going to the heart of kind of their core values and like what the questions that they have, like they're sort of, we call it in theater, like they're super objective, they're kind of life goals or that type of thing. So I would say, I guess, like working towards finding what that long-term vision for the character is, but then sometimes you're going to get like coffee girl number 4. And so in that case, you're not really, sometimes the character creation is honestly just a collaboration with you and the director, or you in the space, whatever your scene partners are. Maybe it's collaboration with literally the coffee or whatever your lines are. So it can really come from anywhere, as long as I think it's authentically rooted somewhere, it works.
Okay. Yeah. Now, this year you were in Rise. Tell me about the project.
Yeah, Rise was a short that came kind of on the heels of 2020, with a lot of the sort of uh, questions that we were starting to have after seeing what happened with George Floyd and a lot of all these other things that kind of went on. My beautiful friend Marion Barry, she decided to write this short sort of as an educational thing for people to watch and sort of understand what you know, I would extend to all people of color, but I think it was specifically catered towards like my Black friends who you know, like they have to kind of put up with like harassment and lesser opportunity all the time just because of the color of their skin. So it's just kind of shedding some light on the subtleties of injustice. I think a lot of people feel that if they're not if they aren't explicitly being racist per se, and that, even that's a kind of hard thing to unpack, but if they're not, you know, doing something overt, then they feel like it's fine. But if sometimes it's actually a lot more deeply rooted or covert, or it's just it was a short piece basically about learning to kind of question your own perception about why you think something. And what I enjoyed was I honestly played the character who was, you know, started at the company at the same time as my friend Miriam, also played the lead in it. And it was about her trying to kind of work her way up in the company. And I worked my way up in the company, and then she finds out that I'm getting paid more and we do the same work. And so there's just some questions and some like kind of educational elements to it as well, that there was a lot of good questions asked in the piece. And so people could kind of watch it and then, you know, think about stuff in maybe hopefully a different way, shed light in a different way. So that was that project, and I felt like honored to get to help tell that story.
Totally. Wow. And what would you say it's important to know for storytelling and story creation?
I think that when you're, from a writer's perspective, when you're telling a story, I think it's really important to ask a question. I think a lot of stories out there will try to tell you an answer, but to me that verges on sort of more propaganda than it does storytelling. Yeah. And I feel like the best stories that I engage with are actually asking something of me, like a participation in some way. So I would say the most important aspect of character creation, story creation, all of that is to ask something of the listener, of the viewer, of the reader, you know, because it just keeps you actually engaged as well. It's more fun because even if it's like, I don't know, a murder mystery or something, you're trying to figure it out, you're trying to solve it. But maybe if it's a love story, it might ask, you know, what is the nature of bliss? Like, it doesn't have to be something so specific, but just even asking something of us, it asks us to participate. And I think that's the most important part of any art that's going to have an audience with it.
Okay. Now, what do you like the most about acting? And also, what advice would you give to those who recently started acting?
Yeah, I love it when anybody asks me for advice on acting. I feel like I'm still figuring it out too, but I love it because I honestly was born to do it. I don't know what to tell you. Like, there is something about getting inside of characters' heads and like walking in their shoes that on some of the more, you know, deeper projects, you know, really creates a level of empathy for the people around you, and not just, you know, like, just it creates more empathy for me, for the world around me in general, let alone in the story, because you can't really judge a character when you're playing a character. It just doesn't work. So it just creates a lot of I don't know, fakeness if you're judging the character the whole time. But if you are trying to accept the reality and realize that everybody is human and everybody can go to really dark, low places, and you're willing to kind of enter into that to sort of release something for audiences, I mean, it's pretty cathartic and beautiful for people. that said, you know, on the other side of the spectrum, like I love comedy and I just love bringing people joy as well. Like just that's a different level of participation, but it's sometimes actually harder to authentically find that like joy or happiness, especially when culture is what it is sometimes. But that is honestly my favorite part about acting, is being able to you know, give people the opportunity to get outside their heads and be entertained, and to maybe get inside their heads and you know, kind of think about things and question stuff. I just think it's cool that artists have that right and that ability. And then on top of that, for acting advice, I just think like as much as you can do it, you should do it. Like if there are opportunities that come up in like little theaters or whatever, like you should absolutely give it a shot. I think that everybody as an artist should also know that you really can't care what people think. Like you can't care about how casting sees you or how audiences sees you. Like you just have to do the work and enjoy the art. Because I'll tell you, nobody wants to come to your community theater show, but if you win an Oscar, everybody wants to be your friend. So you just have to love it for you. You know what I mean?
Totally.
You just have to love it for you and do it as much as possible. That's what I would say.
Totally. And tell me, like, what motivates you? I mean, we all have those days, right? In which we just feel terrible. We are kind of in this like in this place or in this toxic bubble, let's say, in which we feel that what we're doing is wrong, that we are on the wrong career, you know, and then you see that that time goes by, and then you will see like a lot more young people, like way young. They're already super killing it, and you're just kind of, you know, just going step by step. And of course, that's like super toxic, right? So what gets you out of this toxic bubble, and to be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna do my thing. I love it, and I don't care what I don't care about what others might say or think. You know?
Well, exactly. That's exactly it. You just, I would say, you really have to watch perspective. I mean, I have, you know, you can't get into the comparison world. And I say this with a complete understanding that I have been and sometimes am currently in the comparison world. I mean, it's a visual, well, I should say that being an actor in film is a visual medium. And so it is really hard to not compare yourself to other people who are doing the work too. But it's just useless. It's a waste of your time. And the thing is, now how to get there, I just think it's a perspective thing. I think it's just, you have to, again, find what you love in it. Like I have people in my life who, frankly, I think should have won a Grammy by now. Like they have been doing music forever. And then there's people, you know, you'll see like, oh, they got famous off this one song on TikTok and then it goes away. But I think that there's something to longevity. Like, I think there's something to true artistic form. I'm not saying that you don't have true artistic form on TikTok, because I think TikTok is an excellent medium for people to kind of blow up. But I'm just saying, like, you kind of have to find what you love about it and bring yourself back to that. And if you don't love it, then just don't do it. Like, I think we have to prioritize happiness, you know? Like, mental health should be a thing. Sometimes I've taken breaks because I'm like, I'm not into this right now. And I actually just don't like doing this. And you just have to find something that you do like. For example, sometimes it is creating your own work that you're passionate about. It is writing that song. It is making your own short. That's what a lot of my friends have done, and I've started to do as well. For me, it's writing too, because I know that I can be kind of the one behind the questions and that kind of thing, like asking things by writing about them. And also, that's a kind of a cathartic way for me to release as the artist. It starts out as kind of what's in my head, and then it becomes something that is collaborative amongst like a director and actor, all these people, right? But yeah, so I would just say that the major thing to get yourself out of a funk or out of something that is gonna I don't know, put you in that toxic spin is you have to have people around you who are solid, and you have to, and can remind you that you're still amazing, and you have to just love what you do. Like, you have to find a way to love it. And if you don't love it, there's just no shame in being like, okay, then let's find something I do love. Life is too short, I feel like, to be not happy. So for me, I have to do it because it's the thing that gets me going. So
yeah, that's amazing. But you know what? It is so interesting because sometimes, I mean, you will be nervous, or you will be like too unsure to start your own thing, because I mean, sometimes it happens, right? That even your close ones, like your family, they're kind of don't want you to do it, and I understand somehow, because they want you to either fail or feel bad or sad. I understand that, but at the same time, I think it's just part of life, you know, for you to try something new, for you to try this thing that you're curious about, and if it doesn't work, that's fine. I mean, you can always find something that you love, but at the same time, in order for you to find the thing that you love the most, you need to discover the world. You know what I mean? You need to try different things here and there. I mean, I do believe that we all come to this world for something, but of course that it's up to us to discover that something, you know?
Yeah, and I do think that it goes back to what we were saying before. Like, you just can't be doing it for other people.
Totally.
Because that's gonna kill you pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I know that, you know, it is pretty tough to do anything without the support of your family. But I think you just have to realize as well that, like, acting, like, this is the thing. Morgan Freeman became an actor in his 60s. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's really no cutoff time in acting, which is kind of nice, as opposed to, I guess, like, that might not be the case if I was passionate about pursuing a specific sport. Like, sometimes your body can't, you know, do it in the Olympic level.
Yeah.
And acting is more forgiving that way. But I think just ultimately, you just can't be in that. You got to find people who support you. And if that's not your family, then you have to be listening to a lot of positivity. You have to be listening to things that kind of like cleanse that palate for you and support you. But also, you can't be doing it for somebody else. Yeah, like, you can't just try to do it to be, like, I think the worst thing you could do would be try to be an actor to be famous. And hey, to each their own. Maybe this works for some people, but it's just like, I mean, if you're just trying to do it for people, that's just gonna ultimately come back to be very unfulfilling, you know? Like, I feel that's what I mean. You have to love the art form itself, because if not, I think you burn out, you know? So.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if you could describe your career right now on a movie, TV show, or even a book, why not? What would be the title of it?
You win some, you lose some. I always say that, but I think it's just like, maybe right now, honestly, the title should be Surrender, like, just or Let It Go. Right now, I'm actually creating something. I'm creating a future project. I know we'll probably talk about that later, but I'm creating a project called The CEO. And I think maybe that is actually going to end up being about my life, because just with the acting world being so kind of in flux, because you're always sort of dependent on auditions from other people and other projects and other casting directors and other schedules and other budgets, because it's so dependent like that. I just find that it's, when I create my own work, then I have more kind of a stable feeling about it. And so that's why I'm writing this thing called The CEO, and it's kind of about that. I mean, it's a comedic thing, but it's about kind of taking back control of your own life so that you can be kind of happy with it. Because I think that we start off dreaming, you know, like being dreamers, and then it kind of just, we can so easily kill the dream. You know what I mean? Like, we can so easily just get caught up in it being a career and all this stuff that we just kill it. So I just think, again, coming back to not caring what people think, keeping the perspective being about the ultimate goal being about, okay, like I actually love this and this is my art and this is how I can express myself. Yeah, so I guess maybe something along that would be the book title.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And if you could describe also your career at the moment, but this time on a drink, which one would you pick?
Are we talking alcoholic drink or
any type of drink?
I think tequila is spicy, but it's not good for you always. You know what I mean? It's a good time. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I feel like I guess I should just probably say like it's espresso, because it is, sometimes it puts you in anxiety and sometimes it hypes you up, but ultimately you kind of need it every day. You kind of need coffee every day to keep going. That's like the acting career. It's like, for me, it's kind of my lifeblood. Like coffee is my lifeblood, but at the same time, too much of it could, you know, be a little bit killer. So I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. And my last question here is, what can we expect from you in the future?
Yes, great question. I gotta tell you, Dan, I'm leveling up in 2022. I'm claiming it.
There you go.
Here I am to claim 2022. I am writing, like, the show that I just mentioned, the CEO. I'm writing a sitcom about the level up. I've been through quite the year, and I don't really know how else to express it other than to write a show and to create it. I'm also actually, she may be on the live right now. My bestie Charlotte Denton is a co-creator with me. We have also created a sitcom called Camp. She is currently in Australia. I currently am not in Australia, so that has been a little bit of an interesting thing to be working together back and forth, but I'm always working towards that stuff. I also do music. I have a band called Mark the Magic that I'm a part of. And I plan to keep writing, keep auditioning, keep acting, and creating my own work, because to me, again, that's the only way that I find, that's the thing that keeps me going. That's the thing that keeps me kind of sparked and energized and ready, you know?
Totally, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, the fact that you're creating that, and also with your friend Charlotte, which at some point definitely would love to have a live with you. But it is so cool. It is so cool what you guys making, and also what you are making. And
Thank you.
And you know what? I'm super sure that at some point we're gonna see you basically everywhere. You know, we're gonna see you in a lot of movies here and there, TV shows. I mean, because I do believe that good things happen whenever you are true with something. You know what I mean? That if you are being honest with your craft.
Oh, I might cry, to be honest. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really might. I am an actor, so you might think it's fake, but it's kind of actually real. Because, you know, one last thing I'll say for other people too is, like, you just have to find a way to be encouraged. And, like, my gosh, it is. So thank you. I accept what you're saying, and I'm holding on to it, and I'm seeing it for myself, and hopefully, and I'll be like, my guy Dan, everybody follow, you know?
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see more of your amazing work in the future.
Oh, thank you.
As I said here, I mean, you are definitely killing it, and I'm super sure that you're gonna killing it even a lot more. And as I said here, keep doing what you do and keep pushing it, because like one of the things that I do like about interview actors is the fact that you guys show us that everything is possible, but of course there's like a lot of hard work that we, the audience, we don't see, like, you know, like we don't actually see it.
Thank you for saying that, because I feel like there's a misconception that artists just get to like play music or just like play pretend all day, and there's not like a lot of serious work that goes into it. But I mean, I was just the other day, I watched a little or heard a little interview about the Beatles and how they practiced, they rehearsed every dang day for, like, I don't know. When I went to see in London, when I went to the Cavern, like the little kind of pub underground thing where they used to play, they'd play there every Friday and Saturday, and they would rehearse there like 4 hours, 5 hours a day, and they just keep going. And it's like, that's why they became what they are, like, you know. And I just feel like that is true. The work ethic is a key point. You can't just like dream it. You actually have to put the work in, and that is so you just have to keep the long-term game in mind. You just have to know that it's going to work out. You just have to know it.
Preach on that. Yeah. And as I said here, we're gonna see you killing it right now. We're gonna see you in a lot more epic stuff, and I'm super sure that eventually you're gonna win like your 4th Oscar in a row, and we're gonna be like totally worth it.
Yes, thank you.
And
I'm for some Oscars. Yes.
There you go. And also, I want to thank those for watching. If you're watching this now, thank you so much. If you're watching this later on YouTube or listening to this later on the podcast, well, first of all, make sure that you're following these amazing, talented actors that I'm interviewing. Normally, what I would say is for you to put pause, then hydrate, leave a like, subscribe, follow, then go follow her, leave a million likes. Let the world know that we have this amazing, talented actress. And also, if you have been watch all of my episodes either through Spotify, YouTube, or here, thank you so much. Happy birthday! Feliz your happy birthday. Keep having an amazing rest of the day. And also to you, Jenessa, thank you so much. As I said before, keep killing it, keep pushing it, because you are actually inspiring people, and it's amazing.
Thank you so much. I accept that. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for accepting again, and keep having an amazing rest of the evening, an amazing upcoming weekend, and nothing but amazing stuff to you, okay?
Okay. Thanks, Dan. Good to chat. Okay, bye.